So I want to share with you guys one setup change that I think will open up a whole new realm of possibilities for you when you head out mountain biking on the weekends, especially if you're the kind of rider whose skills have developed to a point where those skills now exceed your understanding of your own setup. You might have even reached an artificial limit because your bike just isn't going to keep up with what you are now able to do. So for you, or for people who just love changing settings and fiddling with stuff, this is something I want you guys to try. I want you to crank up the low speed compression damping on your rear shock. If you're running something like a RockShox Super Deluxe, low speed compression adjuster on top of the piggyback. If you're running something like a Float X2 or anything with X2 architecture, low speed compression valving here and a climb switch here. Feel free to crank both of those right up. Why would you do this? Well, first of all, you need to have a really clear understanding of what low speed compression damping is. Low speed compression damping has nothing to do with the speed, no matter how fast or slow you're going along the trail. It is best thought of as rider inputs into the bike. Heavy hands under braking, heavy feet under load, loading the bike up through a berm. Low speed compression resists and affects rider input into the bike. Okay, what do we do with that information? If we know that we're thinking of low speed compression as chassis control, under the heading of chassis control, we also have bike geometry. How slack or how steep is your steering angle? Where's your body position? Are you attacking or are you defending? And this is the key thing right here. Where's the balance of grip, front to rear? Now, obviously it's infinitely variable because that's the nature of the sport. But what we really want to achieve by cranking up the low speed compression is we want to move the balance of grip more towards the front tire. Why? Because having more grip at the front is never a bad thing. If we look at my nice drawing of a bike here, my imaginary fulcrum, my imaginary seesaw. If you crank up the low speed compression damping on your rear shock, you are increasing the damping force that is being applied to the upward motion of that rear wheel. What happens if we push up on this side of our imaginary seesaw? This side wants to go down. Increasing damping force at the rear axle increases mechanical grip at the front contact patch. Pretty simple to understand, right? Cool. Why should you care? Increasing the low speed compression damping keeps the back end riding higher, which means the bike climbs better. You have better pedal stroke clearance through the rocky rough bits, less bob and losing fewer watts through the motion of pedaling. Increasing damping at the rear provides more front end grip, all other factors being equal. So I'm saying try this change, leave your tire pressures alone, leave your fork alone, don't change anything else about your setup. You can change that later, but making changes in isolation is the best way to figure out what effect they actually have. Now, if the back end of the bike rides higher, that means it's going to encourage a more consistent attacking body position. It's going to encourage you to get more weight through those hands, ride heavy hands, high elbows, trust that front wheel, the grip is there, and train yourself to trust that front wheel and learn how to carry more corner speed. Now, I've written this in a different color because it diverges off into a slightly separate topic, but if the shock is riding higher in its travel, that means that you're riding in a softer part of your spring curve, remembering that springs and dampers are two completely separate systems. Springs are position sensitive, dampers are speed sensitive. But it means that even though you've added support to the back of your frame or the back of your riding platform, whatever you want to call it, the shock is still in a supple enough part of its stroke that it will still be compliant and it will still soak up those small bumps, especially if you find yourself, excuse me, going faster than you used to. That's why I would suggest you crank up your low speed compression.